Nikon seems to be preparing its next bold move in the retro-inspired camera space with the upcoming Nikon ZFR, a model that could continue the legacy of the well-received Nikon ZF. With rumors swirling about a 60-megapixel sensor, advanced features, and a familiar throwback design, the ZFR is already stirring curiosity among photographers and videographers alike. But what does this mean for Nikon's mirrorless lineup? And more importantly, where does the ZFR fit in a competitive landscape dominated by models like the Sony A7RV and Canon EOS R5? To understand what Nikon might be aiming for with the ZFR, it's important to reflect on what made the Nikon ZF such a standout in the first place. The ZF paid homage to Nikon's classic film cameras, combining a timeless design with modern digital performance. It quickly became a favorite among enthusiasts and professionals who appreciated a tactile, analog-style shooting experience wrapped in a compact mirrorless body. However, despite its visual charm, the ZF had a few shortcomings that held it back from being truly exceptional. One of the most common criticisms was its ergonomics. The camera looked great but was often uncomfortable to hold for extended periods. Its slim profile, while beautiful, didn't provide enough grip, especially during long sessions, prompting many users to invest in third-party add-ons for better handling. Performance-wise, the ZF was limited in areas such as continuous shooting. With a maximum burst rate of 10 frames per second, it didn't quite appeal to action or sports photographers looking for speed. So, if Nikon is planning to upgrade this line with the ZFR, it's likely they'll want to address these issues head-on. A deeper, more refined grip and enhanced shooting speed, while still preserving that retro aesthetic, could make the ZFR a far more versatile tool, potentially elevating it to a serious competitor in the high-resolution mirrorless segment. One of the most exciting rumors surrounding the Nikon ZFR is the inclusion of a 60-megapixel full-frame sensor. This would be a major leap from the ZF's resolution and would place the ZFR in direct competition with some of the most advanced cameras available today, such as the Sony A7RV, which also features a 60MP sensor. Canon's EOS R5, while slightly behind at 45 megapixels, is still very much in the mix due to its all-around performance in both stills and video. High-resolution sensors are not new, of course. Sony has used them effectively in both the A7R4 and A7RV, and Sigma's FPL also leans into that ultra-detailed imaging category. So the real question becomes, what can Nikon do differently with the ZFR to stand out? One possibility that's been floated in rumors is improved dynamic range and enhanced color science. Some discussions have even suggested the potential for 16-bit RAW output, which would be a remarkable achievement for a full-frame camera. Currently, 16-bit RAW is mostly reserved for high-end medium-format systems like the Fujifilm GFX 100 series or the Hasselblad X2D 100C. While it's unlikely that Nikon would truly push into that territory with the ZFR, even standard 14-bit RAW with improved color depth would be a welcome upgrade for most photographers. When it comes to burst shooting, expectations for the ZFR should remain realistic. Nikon likely won't aim for blazing speed in this model. That's more in the territory of their Z8 and Z9 cameras, which are built for sports, wildlife, and high-speed journalism. Instead, the ZFR will likely maintain or slightly improve upon the 10 FPS mark, which is more than sufficient for portrait, studio, or landscape photographers who prioritize resolution and detail over rapid shooting. Video capabilities could be another key differentiator for the Nikon ZFR, depending on how far Nikon decides to push this aspect. There's been a lot of speculation about whether the ZFR will support 8K video recording. Nikon has already entered the 8K space with the Z8 and Z9, so it wouldn't be surprising to see this feature trickle down to the ZFR. However, 8K video brings its own challenges. It demands significant processing power, generates heat, and requires massive storage solutions. For a compact body like the ZFR, managing thermal performance will be critical. That said, offering 8K, even if limited by recording duration, would be a strategic move. It would give hybrid shooters more flexibility, allow for high-resolution cropping in post, and make the ZFR more competitive against cameras like the EOS R5 or A7RV, both of which offer impressive video specs. Design-wise, the Nikon ZFR is expected to stay true to its retro roots. The ZF's vintage styling, inspired by Nikon's classic film cameras like the FM2, was one of its strongest selling points. Photographers loved the physical control dials for ISO, shutter speed, and exposure compensation, and it's likely Nikon will retain or even enhance these tactile elements in the ZFR. A refined grip could make a huge difference here. Maintaining the vintage look while improving comfort and usability would be a winning formula. If Nikon succeeds in blending form and function more effectively this time around, the ZFR could appeal to a broader audience, including professionals who might have passed on the ZF due to its handling limitations. With these rumored specs and improvements, the Nikon ZFR seems poised to take on major rivals in the mirrorless space. The Sony A7RV leads the pack with its combination of resolution, autofocus, and computational features. Canon's EOS R5 brings not just 45MP stills, but also top-tier dual-pixel autofocus and 8K video. Panasonic's Lumix S1R, while offering slightly fewer megapixels, still delivers stunning image quality with strong stills performance. So where would the ZFR fit into all this? The answer might lie in its niche appeal. By offering a 60MP sensor and a beautifully designed, retro-style body, the Nikon ZFR could target photographers who prioritize aesthetics, build quality, and image fidelity over sheer speed or cutting-edge tech. And if Nikon does decide to emphasize video performance, including features like 8K, internal 10-bit codecs, or advanced audio support, the ZFR could also carve out space among hybrid shooters looking for a more character-rich camera. However, much of this hinges on how Nikon approaches autofocus, a domain where Sony and Canon have made huge strides through AI-driven systems. Nikon has improved steadily, but if it can truly elevate its autofocus game in the ZFR, it may finally stand shoulder to shoulder with its top-tier competitors. So where exactly does the Nikon ZFR sit in the brand's current mirrorless lineup? It's clear that this camera isn't intended to replace the Z8 or Z9, which remain Nikon's go-to options for high-speed and pro sports work. Instead, the ZFR seems positioned for enthusiasts, fine art shooters, and professionals who care deeply about image quality, the physical experience of using a camera, and timeless design. Landscape photographers, portrait specialists, and travel shooters may find the ZFR particularly appealing. Of course, not everything about the ZFR is shaping up to be perfect. As we've mentioned, ergonomics is still a concern. If Nikon doesn't significantly improve the grip, the same comfort issues that plague the ZF may carry over. Then there's the matter of price. A 60-megapixel, full-frame mirrorless camera with a retro chassis and premium components isn't likely to come cheap. If Nikon prices the ZFR too high, it could limit its appeal to a niche audience, especially when more affordable alternatives like the Sony A7R4 or Nikon's own Z7 II are still widely available and highly capable. As for when we might actually see the ZFR released, current rumors suggest a late 2026 or early 2027 launch. That might seem distant, but Nikon tends to take its time with major product developments, especially when it comes to cameras that blend innovation with heritage. The long timeline suggests the ZFR is still in active testing, possibly going through various prototype stages before mass production. That's actually a good sign. It indicates Nikon is taking the time to get it right, rather than rushing out a product that looks great but underdelivers. In conclusion, the Nikon ZFR is still somewhat of a mystery, but a fascinating one. Based on what we know so far, it's not a camera designed to dominate every spec sheet or to chase trends in ultra-fast performance. Instead, it appears to be a deliberate, thoughtful step forward in Nikon's ZF series, aimed at photographers who value the fundamentals, stunning image quality, a satisfying shooting experience, and a camera that feels like a true tool, not just a gadget. If Nikon can deliver on the rumored 60MP sensor, enhance the ergonomics, and perhaps add meaningful video capabilities, the ZFR could turn out to be one of the most compelling releases in the coming years. It may not be for everyone, and that's the point. In an industry that often chases speed and automation, the Nikon ZFR might just remind us that beauty, craft, and experience still matter. So keep your eyes on the Nikon ZFR, it may just surprise us all.